thought I said I like a statement. She gone sometimes. Went on the way, these are my confessions. And I'm broke and I don't know what to do. Think I'm gonna give part two of my confession. If I'm gonna tell it, then I gotta tell it all. And cry when I got that phone call. I'm so blue. I don't know what to do, but then give part two of my confession. Now this right here gonna be the hardest thing I think I've ever had to do. To tell you, the woman I love, that I'm having a baby by a woman that I barely even know.
You know what? I mean,
maybe
we can
give
do
me another
Usher.
chance. This ain't about my life.
This ain't about my life.
It's about us. Please. No. No.
Somebody would have said yes. Chili said no.
Somebody would have said yes. You're right about that.
I wonder if JD's woman said yes.
Probably. That's probably why Usher. That's why it was their story and not the true story. Because she was sitting at home like.
I wonder.
No, thank you. No, thank you. I wonder if JD's. Well, as she ponders
was that during the Janet Jackson?
You know, I was thinking that, but I wasn't gonna say that.
I feel like Janet had to be the woman. Is that a stretch?
I don't think that's a stretch.
I don't think that's a stretch. There are a lot of theories I have about these people. Not even just, Gabrielle Union. And she writes in her first book how she fell in love with her co-worker in one of these movies. I'm pretty sure it was Jamie Foxx. And breaking all the rules. I'm pretty confident. Timeline of it all, I'm pretty confident with Jamie Foxx. And who wouldn't fall in love with Jamie Foxx?
It's Jamie Foxx falling in love with them back. He doesn't really like us.
I'm not gonna hold you. I feel like Fancy ruined it for all of us. Because he did love Fancy. And they were trying not to be together while they were working together, and then she ended up getting married 2 weeks before they ended production. He literally was like, "So you couldn't wait."
It's giving the show in real life.
It is.
Like that's what it sounds like. It's him chasing her around that hotel in real life.
She ruined it for all of us.
Dang.
For the rest of us. Now it's Katie Holmes of it all, and whatever. And any given white woman.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Yes.
Welcome.
Any given white woman.
I said what I said, and I meant it.
Welcome back to the Seek Help Podcast. Obviously, we are still looking for the help ourselves. Yep. We're back with episode 2.
We're not the only ones.
We're not. In a little more comfortable environment.
Comfortable in my skin. I mean, in honor of Beyonce.
So we're just gonna jump right in to
Beyonce.
This is that the Church of Shelby?
It's got to be, because we just broke records.
And now introducing Shelby's church announcements.
The church announcement is Beyonce. That's what I have for you. There's no other words that need to be said. The church announcement is Beyonce breaking this record for most Grammys won ever by any artist, producer, writer. I mean, whatever given person can be in these categories. 32 wins for last night, not including album of the year.
And we have to, it says something about an organization where the most awarded person in the show's history has not won album of the year.
Even when we now have a black president of the organization. I will still shout out to Harvey Mason Jr. for the black ass show that he gave us last night.
That's fair.
But the fact that he let this somehow go on, I don't.
You know what blew me? There's an article, and I guess they were interviewing the people that vote for the Grammys, and they were like, well, who would you vote for album of the year? It was a 70-year-old white music executive, and he was like, Beyonce,
I just feel like every time she comes out with something, people are supposed to be tripping over themselves, and it just feels a little too pretentious for me. So I'm gonna have to, and I don't like Harry Styles because he was a part of a boy band, so I'm gonna have to go with Abba. You are on the voting board of a musical academy. Nobody asked you whose rollout is more pretentious, or if boy bands how is the music? What did the album as a body of work, how did that work out?
This is what 70 gives you, especially as a white man. Welcome to our government.
America has a problem.
America has a problem. These people have to go. If we're going to talk about it, yes, they need to obviously leave the Academy of the Recording Academy. But yes, also, you know, obviously this isn't PC to say, but y'all are people, right? Mitch McConnell has to die. He has to die. And I want everybody to know that. And it's not just him. There are many others like him. That the only way, they've made clear that the only way they're leaving is to die. And that's the only reason why I say that for him. He has to. If that's the only way out. And he looks like he does anyways. It's time. Rest in something.
So Beyonce won 32 Grammys yesterday. Tickets for Renaissance have begun trickling through the pipeline of, I just stole your church announcement.
It's fine.
They usually
it's
tag
fine.
team it these days at these modern churches anyway, so it's fine.
We do. Somebody comes in.
Yeah. And
right on after.
Mm-hmm.
Look at representing.
That's what I'm saying. We're giving the...
we're brothers. We're happy and we're singing.
It's probably too late for you to register somewhere for these tickets, but if you're interested in going,
it's definitely too late.
You're going to lose your leg. Your head is going to fall off. Much like oxtails. Beyonce concerts are not good for you as a person.
Oxtails done right.
They cause you impotence. Ladies, your hair is going to start falling. You don't want to go to a Beyonce concert. You don't want to eat any oxtails.
You don't want to do it.
Eggs are also beginning to be a bit problematic. So just keep that in mind as we're moving forward.
Trevor Noah told the Swifties to fix the price of eggs because she said that they can fix anything.
Oh.
So he said, well, eggs, they're expensive. Swifties, get on it.
Yeah.
And she, that's all she had.
Yeah. So,
let's hope the Swifties do it. Let's let them be good for
something. I mean, well, they were good because had they not broken Ticketmaster, we would not be having this highly structured,
that's true,
rather confusing ticket release process for this concert. We have groups and verified seating and limited price resales and all types of shenanigans. Even though somebody is still going to sell that ticket and be like, cash at me $100 and then I'll send it to you. But in theory,
that's not as bad as it could be.
100 may be low. I'm just saying. Somebody they gonna get that extra money off that ticket. Not through Ticketmaster, but they gonna get that extra money through that ticket.
That's fair. Because I want to say that I also saw like only one resale, like only one transfer of tickets or something. Like it's not. Yeah, okay. Like there are a lot of stipulations to all this.
Okay, steps.
She's not playing games.
Hoping for the best. Us. I'm waitlisted. But
shout out to Kaylin also being waitlisted. If we're gonna somebody that deserves to not be, because he already posted that he was looking for positions in the stadium.
I'm screaming. Jasmine B knowing it was someone. She was like, me waitlisted during Black History Month, and I'm big eyed.
Offended. These people should be offended.
Yeah, I have to read. My last Beyonce concert experience was not.
And I haven't had one, so here we are in an impasse.
And I don't know if she went on tour before that, but I know I saw the last Destiny's Child concert. I feel like there was only 2 times I've seen Beyonce. That last Destiny's Child concert was a wild ride, girl. I mean, you talking about theatrics? There was literally a point where everyone thought the show was over. So like people are getting up, leaving, and then one by one, their faces pop up when, girl, where you going? Girl, I don't know where they going. I think they think the show was over. Girl, this show ain't over. Everybody,
you know what?
Can you pay my bills? Like it was.
I mean,
drama. Like literally people running back to their seats and he just boom, boom, boom.
Much like Kelly said, she better do Bugaboo. That's what the people said. That's what the people said.
That was me this morning telling the children. It wasn't. Was it Bills?
Are they Bugaboos?
It was Bugaboo, actually, that was on the radio. And I'm like, this was Destiny's Child, Beyonce's group before Beyonce was a solo artist. Let me teach you y'all's history.
Because the children
House of Beyonce. Mother Beyonce.
Jordan
Destiny's
is 18
Child.
and he be trying to play Beyonce. I'm just like, you're too old to be.
It was probably when I was, this was about 6-7 years ago. I was working with the 10 and 11-year-olds and I played Beyonce and they were like, or I played Destiny's Child and they're like, who is this? And I like,
see, Jordan's not that bad, but he'd be like,
no, but these kids would have been the same age.
No, yes,
and
yes,
I'm like,
yes.
What do you mean? Who was Destiny's Child?
Jordan knows more than that. He knows who she is, absolutely, but he doesn't understand, I guess, the depths of how far she.
Maybe because because we see so much stardom. Stardom is the word I want, because it's like, I feel like that's akin to, if you would ask me if I was a little kid about Whitney Houston or Michael Jackson, I would have known who you were talking about. Prince. Like there's certain people that you just know have mastered this artistry.
Right.
And the kids
these
don't.
days don't know.
My kids don't know, because
they ought to.
Once capitalism and racism and the patriarchy falls, it will be beehiveism, and I want them to be prepared for this new world we're moving into. So, with that
like to be prepared.
Being said,
going over to the Pick Me.
The Pick Me post.
Pick Me.
I don't know how to spell that. The Pick Me podium.
Sorry.
Okay. Step up to the podium.
Step up to the podium.
So I got it.
You got it.
So, because I initially wanted to talk about imposter syndrome, but I think more important than that, especially in this moment that we're in this week, that we finna have to deal with for the next, as we get over this robbing that occurred last night. I think that it is important, or on the flip side of imposter syndrome, is knowing your worth. And I'm not even gonna spend too long here. I think that Beyonce, through her career, has masterfully displayed what it means to know your worth. We're never gonna see her at another Grammys. She shouldn't be.
She oughtn't.
Her husband shouldn't have performed that song last night. That's just my opinion, baby. They all should have walked off. I'm talking about like Colin Kaepernick, boycott it. Like, oh my God, the world would have been in shambles. But that's besides the point. You have to know your worth. There's a reason why Beyonce doesn't go to these shows. I would not be surprised if she didn't even submit her future albums for consideration by the Grammys. Because at the end of the day, when people will ignore your talent, when people will ignore your mastery of your craft, when people will ignore the time that you've put in, Beyonce is not a Harry Styles. Like, Beyonce is not one of these people who just popped up. She has been doing this since the 90s. Like,
that's fair.
And people are still choosing to ignore that, not based on the credentials or the credibility of what you're putting out, but based off of their personal opinion. Oh no. Like, no. And it's like, for imposter syndrome, you're trying to prove you're trying to prove people's opinion wrong, and like, oh yeah, no, I can't do this because I'm not this, I'm not that. What if you can't do it because you are that? Like, I'm this type of person. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not putting myself in that position to sit here and feel like I'm not making a worthwhile contribution to the world when all the evidence points to the contrary. Right. And the only reason that you're saying that it doesn't, we'll call it a personal problem, but we really all know what the personal problem is.
Well,
it's racism.
I was just about to say, tell the people in case they don't know.
So, I know that especially around our age or in our stage of careers, imposter syndrome can come up a lot. You may be doing things or working with people who are older, more experienced than you are, who it feels like they have more to offer you than you have to offer them. And so I guess to just wrap this on up, you have to know your worth, and you have to know that even without that experience, without a pretentious rollout, even without all of these things, you still have something worthwhile to contribute, or you wouldn't be in the position to contribute it. And so that's really, that's pick yourself, know your worth. Don't put yourself in positions or, you know, situations where you are fighting tooth and nail for other people's approval. And I guess I say all that to say that I hope Beyonce went home and had a beautiful rest, knowing that the Hive was thoroughly pleased with the album, the work that she's done. Everyone knows she was robbed of Album of the Year. And really, you know, I hope that she knows that. And just because the white Recording Academy doesn't want to recognize that does not negate the impact that it has had on the culture and will continue to have, especially as we move through the rest of these acts. Hopefully. I mean, the girl might be like, shit, this is my final act. Like, y'all don't care. Like, y'all don't care. What am I doing this for? But yeah, that's part of knowing your worth, girl. Stay at home, raise your kids. You rich. You don't need to be out here stressing yourself out, trying to prove yourself to these white people who are never going to give you the credit that actually matches the talent. Okay? That's not to say there ain't no talented white people. They are. But hell, they didn't even really get their due like they should have. So, you know, it just makes you wonder what the bar is actually based on. And you have to have your own bar. You have to have your own measurement for success. Otherwise, you are always going to feel like an imposter because you're going to be chasing your tail trying to prove to other people that you got it like that. So you have to know this is what it looks like when I have it like that. This is what it looks like when I'm in my bag and I'm doing my best work. And this is the bar that I have for myself, and I will exceed that for me personally. But I'm not chasing y'all's measures of success, because as soon as you get mad or you don't like that my fans are too loud or my fro's a little too big or I'm a little bit too black or I do this too much or that too much, you gonna start changing the rules. No thank you. No thank you.
I mean, at this point, I hope that she saw the same clip that you did of the 70-year-old white man from the academy, so she knows it really don't have nothing to do with her and everything to do with these people.
With these people. Did
just
you see
being
Lizzo
over her
and Adele? They were like as soon as they announced it, and they were talking about Trevor being like, "Where's she at, ma'am?"
Lizzo has a video, and she asked, "Should she release it?" And I said, "Please," because she recorded him winning. The
lady that he had read the award was right next to Beyonce's fan, and so I'm just like, y'all are misleading the people.
Well.
What are you doing?
Shelby don't help the situation. I knocked and opened the door, and Shelby don't help the situation because she just falls out.
Because there was never gonna be a moment where that wasn't edited out. So it's just like, you might as well come on in, girl.
She's still just slamming this door open and closed.
What
are you doing? What do you want?
I can't just see two of my favorite people.
You know what? I've been added to the favorite people
Girl.
list. This is a day
3P
to be remarked. This is a day to be remembered. February 6th. 3 p.m. Shelby got added to the list. The coat did it. The coat did it.
It's the coat. Yes, so you actually didn't want nothing?
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Ba-dum-bum. We all know tomorrow I'm going to be off the list. It's fine.
Girl, I'm going to be off the list.
So
anywho. Know your worth. Don't measure yourself. Define your success for yourself, and then go and chase that down.
Please.
Because especially as people of color, as women, the bar, it's more of a jump rope. It's gonna move. It's gonna swing up. Today it's high. Tomorrow
double
it's low.
dutch.
Right? Like, don't do it. Yeah, and I think that the guest that we have this week does a great job. Said the same thing about last week, but I think
rings true. It still rings
he
true.
does a really great job of setting that definition of success for himself and walking towards that, making choices in alignment with that, and at this point starting to kind of reap the fruits of that labor.
Absolutely.
Super exciting.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
I definitely want you all to enjoy Travis. He's a photographer that is not limiting himself in any way, shape, or form. I'm not gonna put him in any one category of photography because he's aiming to do it all, and it doesn't matter if it's the NFL or your little league game. He's happy to do everything. And I mean that it's literally.
Commercial.
I mean that literally.
Need coverage. Whether the
This
NFL
is a free
or your
commercial
little
for
league
him.
game,
Yes.
Travis is available to capture the memories that matter most.
If you love the picture, he loves the picture, and that's all that matters.
That's it.
So.
That's it. That's all I got.
Get into it.
Follow us, Being Unbecoming.
As told by Shelby, someone once told. I'm not gonna sing it. It's fine. And that's where it all. On the other side.
We're gonna play the interview now on the other side. Bye y'all. See y'all next week. Jesus Christ.
We're gonna grow up.
We're gonna
one
get
day.
it together.
All right. So are we just going right on in?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Well, thank you, Travis. Do you want to introduce yourself? How do you want to introduce yourself? Essentially, I want to let you introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Travis Ellison, originally from Alexandria, Virginia. Since then, I've kind of moved around after college, and I've lived in Seattle, Washington. I've lived in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and currently living in Los Angeles, California. So, yeah, that's just starters, introduction, name and place, I guess. So yeah, I'm happy to be. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. So which of those places is your favorite?
I mean, I'm always gonna rep the DMV, so VA. But as far as as far as like living and opportunity and career and so forth, it's been LA so far.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the newest, so I'm still getting into it, but it's been a fun experience out here for sure.
Yeah. How long have you been there?
I've been here a year and a half.
Okay. I didn't realize it was even that long.
Wow.
Yeah. Time's moving quick.
Yeah, the pandemic really just fast forwarded everything. Honestly, like I just feel like life has been happening and nobody even knows what's going on in the midst of that. But so let's go back to VCU since we have on the jacket. Let's take it back to Rams days. I don't even remember exactly how we met originally. Do you?
Yeah, to narrow it down, I would guess either church,
that's fair,
or at a like the Slam the Waddle, and I think they may have called it something else at one point. The open mics and so forth. Remember those?
Fair. It might have been one of those.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Something like that. It was some type of event probably on campus.
Yeah. My guess, I would probably go with the church thing as well. I just know that we ultimately both ended up living in 1200 Marshall, and that's where I feel like that's where we really started talking because we would, I was at that pool table every day.
Right.
Yeah. At that pool table every day.
Yeah.
I would play by myself, play with whoever came, do whatever. But once we started talking, I just feel like we bonded over everything creatively, like singing, Because the man will tell you that he can sing.
Little
Maybe he
bit.
won't tell you, but he should tell you.
Let me get that.
You know what? And photography, I feel like, was definitely more of a hobby for you then. So tell me how you decided that you wanted to make it more of your career.
Yeah, so I did photography as a kid, kind of just picked up the Kodak cameras and, the instant film, well, not instant film, but like, I call them the click and rolls. Like you take a photo, snap and roll it, and you get to the end and you take it to like the grocery store or CVS or something, and you come back with, images. So I always enjoyed that process. It was pretty cool just to see that whole thing happen. And then after childhood, I kind of didn't do much photography, like outside of just on my phone or something, until college. So in college, I went to a community college first. I went to Nova in Northern Virginia Community College. And I actually bought a camera because I was thinking that was going to help me create music videos to support my music career, right? So my goal was, I'll get this camera, then I can shoot music videos, do photo shoots, and from the money from that, I'll be able to like fund my music career. That's the thought I had, right?
Okay.
And that was like towards the second year at junior college. So I left there and went to VCU. So I had this camera, got to VCU, and I was like, well, now that I had this camera, obviously the music video stuff didn't work out how I thought it was going to, but I'm interested in sports. I'm interested in music, interested in getting involved in events. So from there, I kind of saw it as, okay, this is an opportunity. I can like take this a step further. So I started working with the, what was it called? It was like the Student Media Center. On Broad Street.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I don't remember the name of it either.
What is it? Rams something Rams. I can't remember right now, but Rams Review. You remember that?
Okay. Yes.
Review.
Yes.
Yeah, no. So they used to cover all the music. They used to cover sports, music, and something else. But I was doing sports with them, and they had the CT or something. It was like the newspaper, student newspaper.
Yeah.
And then they had VCU athletics. So kind of whatever I could get into once I got on campus, I was using my camera for mostly sports, but then also some photo shoots. I went to those open mic sessions, and there were some protests on campus, started covering those. So whatever came up, I kind of just had my camera, and I kind of saw it as an opportunity to not only get access to these events, but be able to capture them and show them from my point of view. So that's kind of the long answer.
Yeah.
So long to me. Certainly not overly so. So it sounds like to me that you always knew that creative was the way you wanted to go as far as your career.
To be honest, I never really had thought about what my career would be outside of sports. Like in high school, I enjoyed sports, I enjoyed music, but like you were saying, it was kind of like a hobby. And only thing I saw was like, oh, I want to do sports or music. And I didn't, it wasn't until, like I said, till college where I realized, okay, photography can actually be a career, and just media in general can be like a career that I go into. So I was studying broadcast journalism, and that part I enjoyed learning, definitely in college, but I knew I didn't want to be in news, like the tough, heavy news. I didn't want to do that. And I realized that early. So I kind of stirred away from that, just took the information from that, learned what I could from that, as far as doing interviews and all of those different things, the research and writing questions out and all of that. But I knew I didn't want to get into like heavy news or hard news or anything like that.
Yeah. Why not?
I'm a very positive person. I love smiling. Look, you can see on the shirt, right? So I enjoy positivity, right? Yeah. And I want to be surrounded by that. And I think first week or second week in class, they were like, news always starts with a heavy hitter. Like that's what sells. That's what people, even if they don't think they want to see it, like that's what people end up gravitating towards. And I'm like, well, that's definitely not what I want to be a part of. I don't want to hear about negativity every day.
Yeah.
So that's just not the route I want to go. Yeah.
And how did you know that music wasn't like, or you said when you went from Nova to VCU, you were like, yeah, well, music isn't, it sounds like you took that off the table as an option.
So, so the thing with music, right? Music is something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy listening to. I enjoy writing. I enjoy singing. I enjoy all of that, but I don't want that to be my main source of income.
Mm-hmm.
I still want to pursue music, and I've been since being out here. I've been trying to network with people out here. I just didn't want to have to lean on music to make my day-to-day income.
Yeah.
And I realized that like I want this to be something that I can maybe make additional income off of, but I don't have to be in the spotlight. I don't have to like do this day in and day out. I can it can come to me when it comes to me, and I can let it go when when I want to, and just have an open type of view on music. So that's kind of what I realized.
Yeah.
So what part of music ideally would you want to be like? Do you want to focus more on writing if you are to enter it more, or do you want to do some singing back? Like, what would you prefer in that realm?
In a I think I'll say perfect world, right? In a perfect world with music, I definitely want to come out with my own project or projects. I would be happy to write with other people as well. There's also a lane which I've realized more while being in the media side of things, like all the TV commercials and all these different ads you hear, like people are writing that music and creating that music and getting paid off of it. So I would love to be a part of that as well, where again, it doesn't have to be my day-to-day, but if I come up with a good jingle or something like that and it works, that could be some more additional income, and then I think just with my brand side, like I do photography, but one thing I always have stood on, especially with social media, is like, I want you to know I'm a photographer, but I want you to know I'm more than that. And I have a personality and I have all these other assets that make me who I am, that make people comfortable when they're working with me, all of those different things. A lot of times on like Instagram and social media, if you're a photographer, I'm not going to say everybody, but there's a lot of photographers, at least especially years ago, like all they show is their work and that's it. And I did the same thing at one point, but I learned that like what makes me different as a photographer and just content creator is like, I want to show you I'm just like anybody else. I have a personality. I have, other things that I do outside of photography, but all of that together is what, helps focus my eye on what I find, interesting to capture and so forth and so on. So, yeah.
This is kind of random, but there's a guy, his name is Chris Classic. I want to say on Instagram, his name is Mr. Chris Classic. He has had his music in like over 600 movies, like the Transformers movies and all of that. And he's come out with his own projects too, but like that's where he's gotten a lot of his money from, is doing the scores for movies and stuff. So don't sleep on that as a lane. Like, you are absolutely right.
On the other side of that, in the television realm, Kurt Farquhar is the one that has done basically every theme song of our life. Sister, to the Parkers, to Half and Half. I mean, he's done like 45, The Proud Family. His brother is the one that created The Proud Family. So he's done, I mean, any theme song, honestly, that you can think of, he's done it. So definitely not something to sleep on, as she's saying.
Yeah.
Love a multi-hyphenate.
Yeah.
So how did you go? What was it like trying to get that access, fresh out of college, and now you're trying to be a sports photographer? Did you know anyone in that world? Like, how did you break into that?
That's a great question. So when I was in college, right, I guess this was during Nova as well, right? So a good friend of mine, I met him playing basketball. He's a couple years older than me, so he's like a mentor to me. He's around my brother's age. My brother's 4 years older. And we all played basketball at like this little rec center. And that's how we initially met. And then at one point, he created a sports media outlet, Black sports media outlet called My Mind on Sports. And once I got my camera, I don't know how it worked out, but we networked with each other, and he's like, yeah, like he was covering the Washington Mystics, DC, DC United, the Women Terps basketball team, Maryland Terps. And so he really was able to, it was at the time where I was starting to like hone in on my skills a little bit, had the camera, was learning some more about photography. And I think it was between that time where I did a couple things with him in the summer, because the WNBA season starts in the summer. So I think I captured a WNBA season in that summer. Then I went to school at VCU. But anytime there was opportunity to go back, it, wasn't too far, I would go up and work with him. And so I got a lot of experience with him. I know we covered the USA women's basketball team. They played in Annapolis, Maryland. They played in Delaware, so we went there. Captured it was a whole bunch of things I did with him, like whatever it was. And he was like, hey, if you want to come, like you can come along and do your thing. And he never pressured me like, you need to do this, you need to do that. It was kind of like, hey, I trust you. I believe in your skills. And, I want to be here to help with that. So shout out to him, because he's who helped me with my initial portfolio for sure. Wilson Tarpe is his name, Wilson Tarpe Jr. And we still stay in contact. And then the transition, I guess, from that was also in school at VCU. I was working with VCU Athletics. I was doing any freelance gigs that came up. And there was a point where obviously, it's fun to party and all of that, right, in college. And it got to a point where I realized, like, okay, this time I'm spending going out to party, I could be on YouTube, looking up how to use my camera,
right,
or looking up like how to do this, how to do that. And once I made that switch, it really kind of took off, where I got more serious. I took my time to, like, any gig I could get, like Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. There would be like, I know this soccer thing I was doing. I wasn't getting paid much, but it was an opportunity to work a camera and get some experience and network. And also keeping in mind, like, it's a service, right? So if I'm not there at 8 a.m. shooting these videos, it was for these, youth soccer. And like, if nobody's doing it, then that's taking away their opportunity to be seen at the next level, So keeping all of that in mind has really helped. And I think that answered your question a little bit of how it started and how I got those opportunities, but that's kind of the initial start.
Yeah, so it sounds like just from networking and meeting all these people, like it was easier for you to kind of rely on those connections.
Right. Definitely building them. I wouldn't say like just, I guess relying on them, but like creating them, like honing them and nurturing them is what was important, because I didn't know a lot of the people that I networked with. I didn't know them before, just, either being at an event already. I remember there was one guy when I was capturing the VCU basketball games, and I can't remember his name now, but I always would look at, like, now I'm at that point where I have a lot of gear and I have the stuff I want, right? But at that time I didn't. But I never looked at it as like being envious of the people that did have it. I looked at it as like, that's where I can get to. I'm right here shoulder to shoulder with the same people that I want to become. And so there was one guy, black guy, he had all the gear, right? And he allowed me to use, he's like, oh, take this photo for me. So he gave me his camera. That was the first time I had used one of those like professional cameras. And like, it was kind of like nerve wracking or kind of scary. Like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I don't,
Right.
But just giving me that opportunity and being open to having those conversations goes a long way. And I've always remembered to, do that for the next generation, or even people that are in my generation that are trying to learn, or older than me or whatever. Like, always just remembering it's a community as well. And you never know where those networks can take you in relationships, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about when you got to the Vikings. What did like a typical day look like for you doing that?
Yeah. So I think one thing that people don't realize, like working for a sports team, for one, there's jobs in every area, right? There's cooks, there's financial, like not financial advisors, but, finance departments. There's legal departments, marketing departments, anything you can think of in any other organization, you have it within a sports organization and maybe even more,
Mm-hmm.
So doesn't matter what field you're in, doesn't even matter if you know sports or not, there could be an opportunity in sports for you. And so the day-to-day life for me was, I was a photographer, obviously, but I also had to manage photography. So managing all the images that came in. On game day, we would have between 6 to 8 photographers that would be all around, because there's sponsorship, right? It's not just a game, right? Think of a football game as a whole event, right? There's a lot of people putting money into having their company show up on the big screen. And we have to be there to capture that and make sure it's seen, so we can prove to them that, one, it was shown during the game. Two, if we can get creative, like getting somebody catching the ball while their logo, right?
Yeah.
Having fans using, like, say there's a towel with the logo on it, having fans waving the towel and showing the logo, all those different things. You need a whole team to capture all of that. So at the end of the day, I'm getting everybody's images, sorting through those. We have to put what's called metadata into the image. So then when it goes into a database, 10 years from now, I could go back to that database, type in a certain day, type in a certain player, type in whatever, and those images will start to show up. So a lot of that was what with day-to-day meetings, just thinking, creative thinking, or figuring out, like, what do we want to do with this day or this game or this event. We captured staff headshots. We did community events, like every week during the season, there was a Tuesday community event. It was a lot of things going on. It's a whole.
Sounds like
I'm gonna say, even when the season ends, people think it's over until the next season. And I remember one year, like, one of the players didn't know that we worked the full year, like it's full time all year long. Because once season ends for them, they're able to take their vacations, do other things. Obviously, they'll train and all of that, but we're still there. Like, Super Bowl ends, we're in, the next Monday or Tuesday comes, we're back at work, and that whole off season, there's work being done. So, it's a full time, nights and weekends. What is a weekend when you work in sports? Like,
that's fair.
You have a game, or you're traveling, or you're, preparing for something. So, yeah.
What teams have you worked? Well, not what teams have you photographed, but have you worked for, like the Vikings?
So the first team I worked with officially was the Seattle Seahawks. Okay. I did an internship with them in 2016. And I did an array of things there. I did PR, I did video and photography. And then from there, I went to the Vikings. I worked there for 4 years. And then after that, I moved out to LA a year and a half ago. And I've worked with the LA Chargers and LA Rams out here. So out here, I'm freelancing with them. I'm not full-time with them, but I'm still working with them directly, but it's just freelance. And then I've done some freelance work with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Duval!
Okay.
I've been waiting for that. I've been waiting for that. Let me go get my towel. Let me go get my towel.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a couple of teams.
Who is your favorite media team of the football teams?
That's a good question.
There's only one correct answer.
Here we go.
So, all right, I'm gonna say this. I know where you're getting
the truth.
You talking about Jacksonville?
I sure am.
Of course she is. But
have you seen these productions that they put on like every week? The recaps of the video. You think you watching like a war movie? Like it's very dramatic, but beautifully shot, beautifully put together. Their media team, I feel like, has just been waiting for them to have a winning season, and they were like, "It's time." Like,
No, I'll definitely say, even from when I started working in the NFL to now, all of that, like what you're saying, has been like an important factor. Everybody's on social media now, and everybody wants to see content, right? So they've definitely upped that. I would say all across the league, but there are some teams that are definitely standing out for sure.
Jesus, you really shouldn't have said that to her ever in life. Because I will not hear the end of it today.
Next question. Who do you think's going to the Super Bowl?
Oh God.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say this though. Shout out to VCU because
Come on.
there's two guys named Cam that both work for Jacksonville.
Okay.
For the Jaguars. One went to ODU, one went to VCU.
Oh.
But they both work there in the photo and video department. So shout out to them.
Shout out to you, Cam and Cam.
Yo. As far as the Super Bowl, I don't know. I just want to see good football. Everybody stays safe and healthy. The teams I had been working for this year, Jacksonville is left, but the other teams are out of it. So I'm kind of just sitting and waiting. We'll see what happens.
I just, like I said, I will not hear the end of this today.
Right.
God. So what would you consider to be the holy grail as far as what a point that you would reach that you would feel like, okay, I've done it all now?
Never.
Okay.
That's a simple answer. I think one thing that has helped me enjoy this career path is that it's really every day you can learn something new. Like I can consider myself a professional, but there's still so much more that I can learn, that I can practice, that I can work on. Because I may be great at sports and event photography, but I can definitely do better at portraits. I can definitely do better at lighting my subjects. I can definitely do better, trying out landscapes. There's so much more to do that I don't think it'll ever be a time where I'm like, I'm done with this. And that's what I like about it, because I can go in any direction and still serve others, right? Because who doesn't want a photo of themselves if they're doing something, or if, they look nice that day or whatever it may be. And also just capturing moments. Like I can think back to times where, even look at this photo, of Nipsey, right? Like I captured that during Broccoli City and not knowing what a couple months later he was going to pass, and it's wild to think of stuff like that, but it is images like these or videos that we capture that, can be the thing that keeps somebody else pushing forward and being able to remember them in a good light and so forth and so on. So I remember other times in my career where, unfortunately, like I've taken a picture of somebody and then later find out they passed away. And it doesn't have to be somebody famous. Like I remember one time there was a situation like that. And I don't know how I got to this, but basically the job is never over. Learning never ends. Connecting never ends. Every day is a new opportunity to create more or create differently, express myself differently. So yeah, that's the answer I would give.
That was beautiful.
All right.
Appreciate
it. And for me personally, to tie this all around, because it sounds, what I keep hearing you say is serve others. So it sounds like that's what you feel like is your purpose. How do you plan to continue to incorporate that as you go forward? Great question.
I appreciate that. I really want to create a foundation or some type of like nonprofit or organization that I can help grow other creatives and give opportunity to others and just share my experience. I've done some like mentor sessions and things like that. Some have been paid, some have been free. If anybody ever DMs me and things like that, like I'll just answer the question. I'm not like, oh, you need to pay me for this or whatever. Like, because that's the same thing I did and still do. I'll reach out to people and so forth. So that's one way of service, is like directly in the photography media area of just, I speak to schools sometimes. I want to continue doing that. I want to do that more. Being able to work with organizations or companies to provide funds for travel expenses for people, camera equipment, anything it may be to help people continue to push forward and be of service, right? What else? I think just continuing to grow it myself, like learning more. I can always take a day and learn more about photography. So then the next time I'm in a situation, I capture a better image than I may have not been able to capture because I didn't do my research.
Right.
So the next thing I'm actually getting into, aside from the sports side of things, is TV and film. And so being out here in LA, it's a thing called unit stills, like a unit still photographer, where you're on set capturing the scenes as they're happening, basically. And so they use that work either for, sometimes it may be on like Netflix and Hulu where you're seeing like this episode.
Picture,
Right.
yeah.
Right. And then sometimes it could be on billboards or whatever it may be. So that's the next like career path for me. I still want to do sports, obviously, and I'll always want to do sports, I believe. But this is like the next thing that I think will be an opportunity for me to grow and network and just take a next step in. So,
yeah.
And that's what I was ultimately going to ask, is what you felt like was your ultimate, your dream job, essentially. Do you think it's TV and film, like, what that may lead to, or is it some event that you want to do that you want to make sure that you capture?
This is a good question. I think for me, I don't look at it that way. Maybe at one point I did, but when I started to realize, like, I'll rewind for a second, right? So the whole time I've worked in the NFL, I've still captured high school football, middle league football, whatever it may be, right? So every year I was still capturing like whatever level, professionally wise or whatever you may, like sport wise, right? So I would be shooting a high school game on Friday and then shooting an NFL game on Sunday, right? And in that sense of it, right, when it comes back to service and just opportunity, like there's no hierarchy for me. Obviously, NFL is a bigger production, right? But the joy I might get out of capturing the images, it doesn't matter what level that is, right? As far as like the sport or if it's professional or not. So in that aspect, it's just being able to get up every day and still create is what I enjoy. I would say, I mean, almost any given day I could have a dream job, because honestly, like I worked with Under Armour at the end of this year going into the new year. And like, that was an awesome opportunity. It was a one-off thing, but it's like, that was a great opportunity. And while I was doing it, like that was my dream job. Right. And then I come back and work an NFL game and like, that's my dream job. So I think just being a creative in general is what is the dream job for me. The last year and a half, I've been full-time freelance, which it's wild to think, but like, I can't believe that it's been that long that I've been doing this now as like full-time freelance. So yeah, again, trying to answer the question, I think just continuing to get up every day and create is what the dream job is. Definitely doing more music, like I said, and I've said this in all my interviews when I have been trying to get jobs, like they say, well, where do you see yourself in 5 years? All those different things. I always say, I never want to limit myself. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what direction, the future may bring for me, but I never want to limit myself or my capabilities, because I believe we're capable of all things, and anything we put our mind to and put the effort towards, we're capable of doing. So who knows? Maybe even when you talk about service, like even I want to write some books, specifically in photography, maybe on myself and my journey. But yeah, no limits, just whatever I can do, I want to do and live life to the fullest, for sure.
That's it. What is it about service for you?
You see how it makes other people feel, right? But then you also see how it replenishes your life and feeds back into you, like how it pours back, right? Because like, not that you do it for that reason, right? To get something back, right, or that you're looking for that in return. But then when you start to think about like if I look back on my career and the times that other people have helped me, right? And then thinking about when I'm paying it forward to help the next person, like you start to see those overlapping opportunities where out the blue, I get a call, or out the blue, I get told that, oh, you were recommended by so-and-so. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I had no clue. And it worked out. So it's just keeping that in mind. And like, that's what I feel like we're here to do, is like what am I here to do if I'm not able to help somebody else?
Right.
And obviously if I'm helping other people are going to help me out, not that I'm looking for it, but I think it's just the right thing to do. And it doesn't have to be just photography or just creating, like holding a door for somebody that's walking through, or they got things in their hands, opening the door for them. Like, it's very simple day-to-day things that people sometimes overlook. And I think when you take the focus off of yourself, it kind of, at least in my opinion, taking the focus off of yourself, it makes it easier. I'm gonna give you a specific story right quick. Rest in peace, DMX, right? I got the chance to meet him probably, I think, within the last 2 years of his life, which is wild to think. And maybe a little bit more than that, but he was in Minnesota at this event. I'm forgetting the name of the event right now, but it was a big concert, right? A festival. And it's called Soundset. And we had a couple of Vikings players that I kind of put together this thing. Like, I went the 2 years previous, and I'm like, yo, we should have some players here. Like, why not bring them to this event? It's in Minnesota. It's hip hop and music and all that. Like, it's entertainment, right? So this year they came, like the year that I'm talking about. We had a couple athletes come. They were doing interviews with artists and so forth, right? Lil Nas X was there. DMX was there. Doja Cat was there. Just everybody. It was a lot of people there. Mm-hmm. And for myself, I'm not just gonna go up to DMX and be like, "Oh, DMX, like, what's up?" I probably wouldn't do that unless we're like both standing somewhere. Any of these like, celebrities. Like, if I get a chance to talk to them, cool. But if not, I'm cool with just being in the background. But he had a Randy Moss jersey on, so it was a Vikings jersey. I'm like, we got Vikings players here. It would be dope for one of them just to meet him, right? If we don't even do an interview or get content out of it, it would be cool for them to get the opportunity to talk to him. So he got off set, and like, I saw him, and he's getting in the car. He got security around him, and I just run up to the door like, "Yo, DMX, like, we got some Vikings players with us. Do you mind like meeting them? Blah blah blah. They want to talk to you." And he's like, "Yeah, like, tell them to come to the dressing room." And so I was like, all right, cool. And then I thought for a second, I'm like, dang, like, I really just ran up and did that. And it was like, because it was for somebody else, I was more willing to do that without hesitation. Yeah. That same event, right? We had a player that was like a freestyle artist. Like, in his free time, he would freestyle and do music. And this is like, just, I didn't plan none of this, but y'all know Sway in the Morning, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Sway was there hosting the show. Somehow we got the guys on stage. They were backstage though. And then Sway came off, and I was like, yo, Sway, like, nice to meet you. We got some Vikings players with us. Like, just wanted to, like, if we could say something on camera with you or whatever. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna bring them out. I'm like, dang. So he brought all of them out center stage. The whole crowd is there. And then we got some video footage of it. And then the guy that freestyles, he gave him the mic and let him spit. And it's like, that's an experience they'll remember for their life.
Yeah.
And I was willing to do that because I knew it was serving other people. It wasn't about me being on stage and like, hey, look at me. It was about, how can I make somebody else's day more enjoyable or their experience better, And ultimately it helped my experience, because then I got better content. I can talk about these experiences that were enjoyable to me, even though I wasn't the spotlight of it, So I think that's why service is so important. And I think everybody should keep that in mind, as they're doing whatever they're doing.
I agree. And we're gonna wrap this up for you, and I probably should have asked this earlier, but I don't want to let you go without asking, what do you think has been your biggest obstacle as you've been on this journey?
The biggest obstacle is definitely an internal obstacle of believing in yourself. And I think that stands for anybody, because and we didn't even get into all the details, right? But I had to believe in myself that I was capable of all of this, because if I didn't believe that, none of this would have happened, because I wouldn't have took the steps to stay home on the weekends. I would have went out and party, because I'm like, oh, photography, like, where am I really going to go with that? But no, I believe like these people I see at these games, I can be there. I can do that, and I have to put it in the work now to be able to do that. I think that's the biggest obstacle is really, and people sometimes overlook it. Like on a day-to-day basis, they may be like, oh, like, yeah, like, man, who am I anyway? Like me, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna get to interview this person, or I'm gonna get to do this, whatever. And it's like, no, like you should believe that. Like I remember in college, a lot of times I was really into music and doing interviews with artists.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do. And whoever the artist was, if I watched their interviews, I would start writing out my questions then. No clue of when or if I would ever meet the person or get to interview them or not. But I started writing questions then because if it's going to happen, well, I need to be prepared when it does. And I don't know when it might happen. So why not prepare now? And yeah, to answer the question, that's the main thing is just people believing in themselves. And regardless of what people say, regardless of people that say they're going to do one thing and don't do it, all of that, you got to just take it in consideration, but ignore like that's going to be the outcome. Nobody else outside of yourself can control your outcome. And so that's what I would say is the obstacle, just believing in yourself.
I don't have a rebuttal.
Believe in yourself. Rainbow. Well, before we let you go, I do have one last question as well. How do you take the perfect picture?
Yeah, I think the perfect picture is subjective, right?
Yeah.
And for me personally, what I think is a good picture is I like images to be in focus. I like them to be sharp, and I like them to be like evenly exposed usually. So like the basics, but really a lot of times people don't do the basics. And I'm saying the basics, but obviously it's different for everybody and it's not the easiest to do that. But a good picture to me is like an image that's in focus, that's sharp, and then, you know, the colors look good. And hopefully if it's like of an event or something, you're catching expressions. Mm-hmm. And I guess to answer that question in a different way, when I know I've taken the perfect picture or a good picture is whoever I'm capturing, they would be happy to see that photo. And that's what I keep in mind. So like that's again, going back to service, right? Where as I'm capturing images, I'm like, that's a shot they would want to see. Like, you know, like this shot of Nipsey, like, I don't know if he ever saw it or not, but I feel like that would be a shot he would have enjoyed to see if he got a chance to see it, you know? So like, that's how I take the perfect photo, I would say.
Great answer.
Appreciate
it. We're gonna grow up one day. No, really, that's a great answer, honestly. We really appreciate you doing this, Travis. This has been a great conversation. We'll probably have you back at some point, you know, down the line. But we appreciate that you did this now. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well, got something out of it too.
Absolutely. And yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. I'm glad that you reached out. I'm glad we could reconnect, and let's definitely stay in touch. I look forward to seeing some of the other interviews that you all do, and let me know how I can support in any way. So
thank you.
We appreciate that.
We'll see you at 1:30 PST for the game. Kickoff.
Okay.
All right.
You talking about which game?
And the Chiefs.
The only game
ever.
The
only game that
matters. That's the only one that matters, right?
If they win this, they're going to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
First, my team plays tomorrow, so I don't have nothing to do with any of this.
I don't think my team is even.
Right, her real team. Because again, this isn't even. It's fine.
She won't let
go Cowboys. Let's be very clear. Go
okay.
Cowboys.
All right.
We like to root for the underdog here at the Seek Help podcast, and we stand by Mr. Lawrence and most of the decisions he makes.
I don't know any of these young men really.
Most.
So I can't.
NTN. I'm probably saying that wrong.
Oh, the wide receiver or running back.
Yes.
Honestly, if you think of Shirley Ralph's son, Etienne is his name. So I think
it's either there might be an N in there that I'm leaving out, but them two,
So we'll see. We'll see you at the game. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will definitely have you back. Yeah, is there anything else you want to say before we let you go?
Now, I think you all asked some great questions, and that allowed me to give some good answers. And I hope people can, listen to this and share it and whatever they may do with it. But I appreciate the opportunity, like I said, and I look forward to staying in touch and seeing, the next interview you all do and so forth and so on. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.